Wow. We're up shot Tottenham. We are the Super Spurs. Everybody knows we're the football connoisseurs. 7 times. Well, I don't need to do the cup bit. It's the league, isn't it? Tricky Tommies, tip-top Tottenham. Finally get a win. I mean, we beat Brentford a few weeks ago, didn't we? But still, a win is a win. We've beaten Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park. Let's have it. You know, I've got to say, to be fair, I was moaning about the game as it was happening. I was moaning about how we were playing during the game, blah, 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 blah. But you know what, right? This winning football matches lark is all right, you know? Like, it's nice. It's just nice before the start of the new year to see Tottenham win another game, isn't it? I mean, we can do a deep dive into Thomas Frank and the style of football and the interviews and stuff and press conference and all the sort of comments that have been floating around and the quotes that have been floating around during the week. But you know what? Today, I just want to say I'm glad Spurs have won. I'm glad we have 3 points. Nice, you know? Like, I would say, and I'll tell you where I'm coming from with this, right? The past few weeks, I've been having the legitimate, and I think it is legitimate, I think it is, you know, concern, nagging, intrusive concern, all right, that we might be a team that, if we don't play our cards right, could get sucked into a relegation battle this year. I feel today, Palace had a few players out, but we've got a lot of players out, right? The narrative going into this was all Palace are in dire straits. Palace have got injuries. Palace are missing key players. Not mentioning the fact that Spurs are missing Kulusevski, Maddison, Xavi Simons, Christian Romero, probably others that I'm forgetting. Destiny Udogie, right? Spurs are always missing key players. But obviously the narrative was all Palace are missing key players. This is, you know, it's hard going for them right now. Hard going for us. The fact we've gone to somewhere like Selhurst Park, which is not an easy place to go to nowadays, as Dan Lowe would say. Tough place to go. Glasner's, you know, he's doing a good job with them. There's a lot of talk. There's a lot of the kind of the I would like Glasner at Spurs, I wouldn't like Glasner at Spurs discussion going around. Can't really be bothered to dive into that. But what I mean, I already have done. But what I want to, I just mean today, we can say that Oliver Glasner has done a very good job with Crystal Palace. He's won them an FA Cup and a Charity Shield. Something that, not trying to be patronising, but I think a lot of Palace fans, and I know several, would say they thought they'd never ever see. No, you know, this is a wonderful, wonderful thing that he's done for the club. Guy's a hero there. He's created a really solid, really decent team. And I think winning there is a good result. I think it is. I think it's a good result. I do have concerns about the way in which we play. I don't think we were very good today. But what I don't mind is Spurs winning when we're not very good. Being dogged and grinding out a win is a good skill to have in the Premier League, right? I think we can all agree on that. Premier League is a difficult league to get 3 points in. And I know that's all very cliche and stuff, but it's true. So many teams in the Premier League are really, really good now. They're really, really good. So it's an exceptionally difficult league to win games in. And Spurs have been seemingly incapable of consistently winning games for a good few years now. So to win that, I'm really quite happy about. I am really quite happy about. What I'm not happy about, one thing I will bellyache about, which, you know, hopefully will not trigger the "you're so negative" brigade. One thing I am pretty annoyed about is VAR. VAR. I know we will talk about, if somebody could explain to me why Bergvall being a foot, and I mean like a literal, like a foot, not an actual measurement, a foot, his foot, slightly protruding over the offside line, down at the side of the pitch, not interfering with play in the slightest, I don't think. Now I'm saying this, did he cross the ball? I hope not. Maybe he did. I don't know. Both offsides are naff, you know? Both offsides are naff, especially the second one. You know, a knee protruding over it. And I get there's a line, there has to be a line, but really, is there an advantage if his knee is coming over this invisible line? That's what I want to know. No, is the answer. The second goal, so our first goal, but Archie Gray's goal, did anyone celebrate that? You see a ball, but this is what VAR's done. You see a ball come into a crowded penalty box. There's bodies everywhere. You're not really sure who's in line, who's not. Is somebody pulling somebody's shirt? Is somebody backing into somebody or whatever? And so when Gray's goal went in, honestly, the spark in like the pits of my soul when the ball used to hit the net and you'd see a Tottenham player wheeling away in celebration, that little spark of joy has just dissipated. It's gone. And that's something that VAR has done. I'm talking about the instantaneous joy, to my point. I'm not saying I don't get happy when Spurs score goals. I feel like I need to clarify that. But you would have a reflex reaction prior to that. When you see a ball fly into the goal, you go mad every time. Every time. And this isn't just you're just getting older, you know, you don't care about football as much anymore thing. I'm certain it's not. This is VAR. This is what it's done. I don't think it's worth it at all. Fine, all right. If Bergvall did put the like as I was sort of saying it out loud, I was like, actually, I'm pretty sure Bergvall crossed it in, so that's why the offside was given. That fine. I think that's kind of all right. I can. That would have maybe been given as an offside back in the day, right? You might have seen that flagged. Fine. Richarlison's second goal, nonsense. As I continue to say on here, VAR I can stomach for off the ball infractions, things that the referee hasn't seen. As the point I always make is, you know, and I remember it back in the day, you'd often see referee up the other end of the pitch, a striker and a centre-back having a Barney down the other end of the pitch, referee's back is turned, one of them slaps the other one or something like that happens. Geezer's on the floor holding his face. Ref can't do anything because he's not seen anything. In those instances, you can say, look, VAR, let's go and consult the monitor. Fans are all kicking off about something down here. Let's consult the monitor. Let's have a look. Oh, right, yeah. He's just elbowed him or he's slapped him or he's done this or that. We're supposed to be those clear and obvious things, right? Somebody's just whacked someone in the face with an elbow or whatever. But instead, we've had it broken down to these like really nebulous, vaguely defined parameters, which are always, which are always subjective anyway. Stuff like that. I get it. I know people are going to say, well, the offsides are not. The offsides are, it's Hawkeye or whatever it is, whatever the technology is, where they draw the actual invisible line, don't they? And, you know, it's done. But I just question, like, really? Why? I don't know. I just feel like so much of football, the joy of it is that explosive knee-jerk emotion that you don't really get in a lot of other sports. And I know people who are really like big rugby people or whatever get annoyed with football fans for saying that. I'm not trying to devalue other sports or anything, even though football is quite clearly the greatest game ever created, other than darts, to be fair. But so much of like what makes football great or made football great is that explosive emotion. The fact that things can just hugely significant things can happen in an instant. and completely change the destiny of a match, of a club, of a season. It's unbelievable. It's just the greatest, space opera ever created. And it just feels like VAR has no real place in this sport. What has a place in this sport is bad refereeing decisions. Bad refereeing decisions that we can all bemoan and talk about after the game. Because that still happens. This is the point. Like, VAR has not removed that at all from football. It hasn't done. And I mean, it's like sometimes I get like opposition fans and stuff tune into this. If any Palace fans do come on here and they just see it as like some Spurs fan moaning that we've not won 3-0 today. It's not. I say this all the time. I say this all the time about VAR. I've been consistent on this from the very beginning. I'm pretty sure there are plenty of games where Palace have been robbed of all right-ish goals because of VAR. Anybody that kind of goes to games like semi-regularly will know how crap it is when you're in the stadium, how joy-sucking it is. It's just the whole thing is not worth it. It really isn't. And I know people will say, oh, it's because there's so much money in the game now, blah, blah, blah. Well, I mean, there's been money in the game for absolutely years now, and we haven't needed VAR all that time. I just think like I know we've gotten to this point where they've gone hard on VAR. They've all sort of backed it. FIFA, UEFA, the FA, the Premier League. They've all backed it. They've all gone big on it. And now it will seem like they don't want to lose face. They don't want to go back on this thing that they said is now part of the game. But I really do think they need to, because it's really crap. And I think the reason why I see it as being quite crap is because I don't see it being one of those things where the swathes of younger people who come onto Twitter or wherever and say, Yadar Gammon doesn't like VAR, ha, 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 ha. There's no real like age divide or anything on this. It seems to be pretty much a unifyingly crap thing. People don't like VAR. People feel that it sucks the joy out of football, kills the momentum. It kills the kind of emotional momentum. This game, like pretty much every game, there's some crap thing that's happened. And I know, I get it. I know VAR has served us well in the past. Aguero in the Champions League quarter-final. No, Sterling, sorry. Was it Sterling or Aguero? Either one. I don't know. Manchester City away in the Champions League quarter-final. VAR did us a job there. I know. Wonderful, great, brilliant. But if I was offered to like have it gone, get rid of it. Absolutely get rid of it. It does not belong in the beautiful game. It does not belong in football. I swear I should have done that's the thumbnail I should have done for the YouTube version. Is me like all red-faced, pointing at the screen. VAR is a disgrace. VAR is a disgrace. Foaming at the mouth, spittle flying everywhere. Disgusting pig. Look at that pig. Look at him. I'm going to click on that. I want to click and I want to watch that great red-faced pig shouting into his microphone. That'll be fun. That'll be a good use of 30, 40 minutes or so. I've got a little window to sit down on YouTube. Let's go through these thumbnails. Yeah, look at him. Look at him. Look at him. Not shaving very well, is he? He's a bit red-faced. He's probably been drinking red wine all Christmas period. Yeah, look at him. Look at that pig. Look at him. Can't control his emotions. Shouting and screaming about football, about the sport. What a pathetic man. I want to sit and watch it, though. I want to see the freak show. I want to see what he does. Yeah, sort of thumbnails are, isn't it? Do a bit of that. I did forget. Happy Christmas, everybody, as well, to all those who celebrate. I hope you've had a lovely few days. Nice. It's been all right. I'm for our audio listeners, I've just had a swig of Ribena out of a wine glass there. because I don't know YouTube's stance on alcohol. Lucky it's not. Lucky it's just Ribena in a wine glass. Oh, you're hard. Brett Nurse says, Wilson Odobert, discuss. Look, I don't know where you're coming at this one from, Brett, but I like Wilson Odobert. I've got to say I do. I like him. I think he's generally positive in most of his actions on the football pitch. I don't think he's quite the finished product yet. I don't think he is, or probably ever is, going to be a world beater. I'm just saying, but he might be. He might, might turn out to be absolutely unbelievable. I don't know. I'm just saying right now, like the raw materials that like he has the capability to be a really good player. I tell you what, Chelsea. I always think Chelsea have obviously had some, and still do have some exceptional players. One of the strengths I think Chelsea have always managed to sort of muster is just creating a really good, solid starting 11 where all the players seem to fit in their right place. And I feel like there's been several. I'm not just talking about like the Drogba, Terry Lampard sort of era where they were, incredible, one of the, probably the best team in Europe. But I'm talking about sort of, there's been several iterations of Chelsea where they just seem to get through without always having the most spectacular players, but just having really solid professionals that do their jobs really quite well. And I sort of feel like Wilson Odobert is one of those kind of players who, if he came into a side that had a clear and settled way of playing that was of benefit to his skill set, I think he would look like an absolutely unbelievable. No, I think he'd look like a very, very good player. I think at Spurs, he looks like a good player, but I'm not really sure what it is that we want from him. I don't really understand what it is that Thomas Frank wants from many of our players right now, other than to get the ball to Kudus and hope that he can do something with it. But I do think Wilson Odobert tries his best. I think he is very handy, sort of sticking to the byline and also coming inside. I think he's a decent young player. I think there's a lot of pressure on his shoulders. I think there's a lot of pressure on Mathys Tel's shoulders because they are two players that were signed for a not insignificant amount of money at a time when Spurs were demanding and required, we essentially needed players who were of a first team quality to step in and lift the quality to achieve a sense of parity, of par, but also to lift the overall quality of our starting 11. And I think it was unfair to burden the likes of Tell and Odobert with that in, fairly fledgling careers, like young players trying to make their names, trying to make their way, right? They're suddenly thrust into this, let's say, semi-hostile environment. And then they've just been sort of judged accordingly. And I don't think it's fair. I think it's, once again, another failing of the club, of the board, of Daniel Levy, that we put those sort of players in that type of position. However, I generally quite like Wilson Odobert. I think he's all right. And I think he will continue to improve if we give him more meaningful minutes and if we perhaps settle on a style of play that suits him. Don't ask me what that is. I'm not a tactico, but, Jack Underhill says, happy for the win. We defended pretty well, but oof, we are not a fun watch. Can't disagree with that, mate. He also said Odobert's cameo was decent. There we go. Ben Mathis, hello, mate. Yippee, a win. Still apathetic to the way we are playing and approaching games. Odobert is improving nicely. There we are, mate. Deuces Wild says, Frank doesn't deserve a transfer window to build the squad in his image. Snooze fest. Now, it's an interesting one, isn't it? It is it's an interesting discussion How much do we back Thomas Frank? How much do we want to? I want to see Spurs spend money in January. I think Spurs need to spend money in January. But is spending money in January a tacit acceptance that Thomas Frank is going to be around for a lot longer? I don't know. Surely part of Langer's remit, surely part of Langer's job is to piece together a squad that is not solely in the image of one manager, right? He should be able to piece together a squad of players that can work within, say, a few set parameters. Now, I'm sure there are certain people, say like a Kish or a Nathan, or like a Harry Brooks type, who will know more about this and how you handle this type of thing. The sort of players you should sign in these circumstances when you're not overly, say, enamored with a manager and you're worried about backing them or giving them a load of money to, and we've clearly been like that in the past. We were like that with Conte, We were like that with Conte. We were like that with Mourinho. Levy clearly wasn't in it in the long run with those two, which is bizarre, but he clearly wasn't because he didn't really back either of them. What did Conte get? He got I was going to say even Drago. What's his name? Fucking hell. Perisic. And that was about it, wasn't it? I want to see, look, at the end of the day, I want to see Spurs sign some players. Really. I'm proper football, man. Gut feeling is that just because you sign some players, it doesn't mean necessarily that they're going to be locked or entirely wedded to what it is that Thomas Frank does. I could see Mohamed Kudus going to Arsenal. I mean, it's very similar football, isn't it? Bad example. I don't know. It's not what you come here for, is it? You don't come here for this. You come here for the fat pig thumbnail stuff, right? Don't ask me about tactics and signing players. Buy players. That's what I want. Do you know what I mean? Me want new thing. Shiny new thing. Give now. Ugh. That's it. Poor impulse control, isn't it? Give me that. Give it here. Give it here. £30 million sign. Oh, that's a bit cheap nowadays. £60 million signing. Give it. Give it here. Give it here now. Give it here, you pig. A lot of pig today. There's a lot of pig. It's on my mind. All right. It's on my mind. I've been in a good routine with my eating, with my drinking, all that sort of thing. It's completely gone out. I know it does at Christmas. It's Christmas, it doesn't matter. Yeah, but still, it does, because it's this kind of time when it gets to like the 28th, and then you're like, being real, I've been eating badly since what, the 20th? Do you know what I mean? Like when it starts ticking towards Christmas, and suddenly, there's all like, the part baked rolls and stuff in the house ready for Christmas. Oh, go on, I'll just have one of those with a load of butter on it. Oh, I'll have that with some cheese and pickle. Oh, God, what's that? A big giant bag of horseradish and roast beef crisps. I'll go and crack them open. I can get some more closer to the top. It's what happens, isn't it? It's what happens. Pirate Dread Roberts says, it's clear how best to utilise the players we have. Frank refuses to. I am dead inside. Oh, look, come on, Pirate Dread Roberts. We've won today, all right? I know what you're saying. I know it wasn't the prettiest. I know Thomas Frank is a bit annoying and all that type of thing. But Tottenham Hotspur won a football. But let's not lose sight of why we participate in this whole silly affair, right? We want to see Tottenham Hotspur Football Club win football matches. And that's what they did today. That's what they did. That's what they did. And New Year's Day, we go again. We go again. We go again, Tottenham Hotspur. We win and we win and we win. We will fight them on the beaches. Echo Sonic Music says, first 45 to 60 was garbage, but the last 10 was great. There we go. The Frisky says, are we safe from relegation yet? You know, I'm not going to count my chickens. I'm not going to count my chicken football club till it's hatched. But, you know, I think, let's just say thematically, I think we're thematically safe. Just in respect to that kind of, you know, if our second string is beating like Palace's, let's say it's not second string, it's the 1.5 string, beating Palace's 1.5 string away from her. Or if I've got to say, Nathaniel Klein, I didn't even know he was still playing. It's the Ian Wright meme, isn't it? The I thought you were dead thing. Nathaniel Klein, he's still playing. It's a surprise to me. If your 1.5s can beat their 1.5s, and they're sort of, you know, they're fellow sort of bobbins, aren't they, really? I mean, let's be honest. Won an FA Cup, nice, right? Well done. You had your nice little day out, and, oh, you know, you all did a TIFO, Homesdale, Victorian dinosaur mob, whatever, you know? They're bobbins, aren't they? Come on. Come on. One FA Cup in your history, and you're telling me you're not bobbins? Come on. Give over. Give over. You know, it's clubs like this, right, at the darts that sing Tottenham get battered everywhere. Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? But do you know what? They get emboldened to sing that stuff because of the way Sky Sports and the like, the media class, the way they treat Tottenham Hotspur, the open contempt with which Tottenham Hotspur are treated by all and sundry in this country. It emboldens the likes of Crystal Palace fans. Oh, we're a great team. Are they? What's so great about them? What? Go on. Tell me. What's so great about them? Why do they get hell with a higher sort of reverence than Spurs do? You know? Newcastle, another one. What's all that about? Everyone's second team. Not my second team, mate. I've got a second team. Couldn't care less about them. I like it when they do the beating Arsenal thing. That's quite good, isn't it? But, do you know what I mean? And yet we have to sit back and suffer. Tottenham get battered everywhere they go. We objectively don't know, do we? You know, it's stupid. It's ridiculous. Half of you all support Hartlepool. Do you know what I mean? Hartlepool and Walsall. Teams like that. Who the hell do you think you are? Who the hell do you think you are to sing that? To go to the darts dressed up as a crayon or Mario and sing about Tottenham Hotspur, that grand old team from White Hart Lane, Bill Nick's boys, Tricky Tommy Franks, Tip Top Tottenham. Who the hell do you think you are to sing about us getting battered? Get your own house in order. Get your own house in order before you sing that stuff about us. All right? Yeah. James Reed says, wake me up when it's all over. Snooze. Technical proficiency in midfield desperately needed in January. James Reed, I don't disagree with really anything you've said, and I'm not here to police the way in which you process or feel things. However, I would say Tottenham Hotspur, again, as I've said to other commenters, Tottenham Hotspur have won this afternoon. We should focus on some of the good things about football and just try to place that front and centre. Just place that at the front of our thinking. And I'm not being facetious when I say this. I mean this genuinely, because I do think we are in places allowing a lot of this negative sentiment, and I myself am very guilty of this. I'm not saying I'm not. But I do think we are allowing a lot of this negative sentiment to snowball. Oh, Frank's terrible. Oh, Andrew's terrible at the end. Oh, who's going to take over? It's all terrible. Oh, all the players we're linked to. Goretzka. Yeah, people talking about getting Goretzka on a free transfer. like, it's not the end of the world. I know, I get it. I know we want to sign younger, more progressive, but Leon Goretzka's, he's been one of the best midfielders in Europe for a while. It's really not the end of the world to be linked with getting him on a free transfer. But it feels like right now, everything about Spurs is, this is terrible, that's terrible, this is bad. We won this afternoon at Selhurst Park. We won 2-0. Right, we had the ball in the net 3 times. We weren't particularly good, but we won. That is something that it should bring at least a bit of joy. And I think if you just take a step back, you can kind of appreciate that a bit. I do think it's on all of us as like individuals to sometimes do that a little bit. And I know I'm a bit loose, right? I know I'm a bit loose on this podcast. Bit of Ribena and all that, right? But all I truly mean that genuinely. I'm really not trying to be facetious, and I know it seems like I'm being quite smarmy and being quite facetious when I say that. But I do think, like, Spurs is supposed to be fun, right? I do for all my like belly aching about it. I love this football club. I love it. I really do. And I know all of you, if you're sitting there suffering me blabbering on about it, I know you do as well. So let's just, that's all I'm saying. I'm saying it as like not a policing thing. I'm just saying it for yourself, for all of us. Just try and focus on the fact that we have won this afternoon. It is good. It's good. It's nice. Stiggy T90 says that was exactly what Frank wants from Spurs. Yeah, I mean, it probably is, isn't it? Really, Echo Sonic Music also said Bergvall did put the cross in. Yeah, I sort of thought so. As I started saying it out loud, I was like, hang on, yeah. Bretner says, we managed the last 20 or so semi-well. Just a shame we employed the same tactic all game. It's joyless when we are level, hopeless when we're behind, and passable when ahead late in the game. Yeah. Durr says, we have a very soft run of fixtures coming up, so I'd imagine for better or worse, that secures Frank's job for the season. And I guess the way I feel about this is, having had genuine concerns that Spurs might go down, if Frank is safe until the end of the season, I know this is setting the bar low, but if Frank's job is safe until the end of the season, it means Spurs are doing all right on the pitch. And ultimately, that's what I want. I'm not being puritanical about it, and I'm not judging or insulting anybody who feels this way, but I have seen the past sort of few weeks anecdotally, a few people almost sort of hoping, you can see it, just go on Twitter or whatever, and you'll see people saying it quite openly. They are hoping for Spurs to lose games so Frank can go. I don't ever feel that way. I don't feel that way. I tell a lie. I do tell a lie. I felt that towards the very, very end of Conte going. But he walked out anyway. But I remember after that Southampton game, after that press conference, when he was just openly sort of slagging the club off and everything, I just thought, I hope we keep losing until he actually goes, because I cannot stand that bloke. So maybe some people's feelings about Frank are just as strong. So, fine, whatever. I've sort of undone my own point there, haven't I? Hacker CPS, go on, lad. Hacker CPS says, smash the like button. It's still the holidays after all. Go on. Yeah, go on. There's quite a few of you watching this, as I always say, right? Well, if you're listening to this on Spotify right now, if you are listening to this or on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcasts, please leave a rating, please leave a review. If you are watching this now on YouTube live as the stream is going out, go on, give us a little thumbs up on this. That would be much appreciated. I nearly said something really weird then that I'm not going to. And you just have to get nothing. It wasn't anything like problematic or anything. Button Malone says, it hurts to watch us play. Yeah. Isle of Lily-White says, game was so dull first half, I actually turned off at 0-0. Not done that before. Can't believe I missed Archie's first goal. Teaches me, I suppose. Up the Spurs. Cheers, Jack. Thank you, mate. Thank you very much. Yeah, and, you know, it wasn't pretty. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that it was, because it wasn't pretty. And that's not what I'm trying to do here. I'm not trying to shill for the Thomas Frank regime or anything like that. I just, you know, I just like Spurs winning games. That's all. Am I going to get locked up and thrown in jail for that? I don't know. Welcome in Pieces says, evening, Jack. A win, 3 points, albeit uninspiring. Thought Odegaard looked bright. Also think Gray is starting to grow into his role. If he can improve his passing a little, he'll be a player. There we go. There we go. That's it. You know, that's it. You always have to look for the daisies poking up through the concrete, right? Mathis also said, oh, yeah. So it was Aguero who was offside. Sterling scored the goal. I knew there was two of them involved in that. Era 7000X says, happy with the 3 points, but we are so boring to watch. I don't look forward to our matches anymore. Worrying times. Yeah. Richard Hanscom says, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you, sir. And a Happy New Year. It's Twixmas. I was talking about this in the preview, patreon.com/RTRpod, ad-free podcasts, extra podcasts, all that sort of thing. I heard this term, and this is one of those like, God, am I getting old? Am I getting out of date? Twixmas. It's nothing to do with chocolate bars. It's between Christmas and New Year's Eve. You call this weird little wilderness period Twixmas. You learn something new every day, don't you? But yeah, that's what it is. Alan Leslie, hello, mate, says, hope you had a good Christmas. I did. Thank you very much, mate. Thought out passing was atrocious at times today. Odegaard and Polina made a huge difference, and I'll take the 3 points. Onwards and upwards, up the Spurs. Yes, Alan, mate. Yes. Chris Chapman says, just dropped in to hit the like button. Keep up the great work, lad. Thank you very much, Chris. Much love, mate. Brett Nurse. Oh, Brett Nurse has clarified. So Brett was the first one to say, thoughts on Odegaard, discuss. And Brett said, Odegaard was the highlight today. Yeah. Good. I thought you were trying to trap me there. I thought you were going to say, oh, you know, Melt podcaster. Yeah, of course you're going to like these crap players that Daniel Levy signed. Oh, yeah, you can be pacified with these, you know, whatever, £30 million exciting young French wingers from Burnley. But you weren't. You were agreeing with me. Mr. Stephen Stotch says, favourite fast food takeaway? Indian curry, hands down. I've got to say, do love it. I love an Indian curry. Plenty of different types as well. I prefer the spicier numbers. That's what I'll say. I like them. There's one that you don't get it in lots of curry houses, but one I particularly like is it's called like a chicken meti. I don't know what it is. I'm not sure what it is, but it seems sort of spinachy, but it's got other stuff in it. I think meti is like a type of, I don't know, a seasoning or something like that. But you can get it with like green chilies in it, nice and hot, lovely jubbly. Sunny J 2105 says, is this the original to Trunk? If so, I've loved your videos. Very good over the years. Big up. Thank you very much, mate. It is. It is. I got old and I got unimaginative and I couldn't make my wacky animations anymore. I try. Look, I do every now and again. You'll see them. I'll sometimes put some up here and there. But it's easier to just sit here and be a gob S word on a microphone, isn't it, really? Everyone does it now. Who doesn't have a podcast, you know? Andy Parry said, I think Randall Colomwani is the same as you are describing Odegaard. Yeah, you can see quite like a lot of people. He's quite divisive, isn't he? I do think there is some. I think I've seen a few concerns that because he's only on loan, he's sort of holding back a bit, doesn't want to be injured for the World Cup. I don't know. You know, a lot of that is kind of is people speculating, isn't it? They're sort of projecting their own feelings about him onto the situation. I generally I quite like him. I've got to say I do quite like Randall Colomwani, despite the fact that I was, you know, quite scathing of him at first. But I think he's all right. You know, I do think he's all right. But you know, we'll see. I don't think I don't think we'll sign him permanently. I don't. No, that's kind of. I'm not getting too attached. Let's put it that way. K9 McGurn says, worried Tell brings a chaos Frank is uncomfortable with. Well, I was saying on Twitter, what we actually need to do with Mathis Tell is just start up the old. Apparently he was caught in bed with Thomas Frank's daughter, rumour, and just let it spread. Because it can be the only explanation. I always think Mathis Tell looks really, really good every time. That's referencing the old, you know, Zaha and Moyes stuff when he was at Manchester United. Because it seemed inexplicable. It seemed unexplicable why David Moyes wouldn't want to use Zaha, who was, you know, one of the brightest young prospects in the country at that time. And he kind of derailed his career, that move to Manchester United. Yeah, he ended up having a fine career at Crystal Palace. He's a club legend there. I still think he's widely considered as their greatest ever player. And where is he now? Is he Galatasaray, isn't it? I think. So, you know, he's doing all right for himself. He's all right. Really good player, though. I was always in the camp of people that quite wanted Zaha, to be honest. At Spurs, we were linked to him so often. But yeah, back to Tell. I always think he looks really talented when he comes on. I think there's quality there. So it is disappointing to see Frank not use him more, isn't it? Soulcret says, looks like we got the result after all. I didn't even see the game. Well, you know, I feel, you know, appreciative that you came and, you know, joined and watched this anyway. Welcome in Pieces also says, not that this actually means anything. Not yet, mate. Not yet. But I wonder how good Graham Bergvall could be under Poch. I do feel like those two in particular would be two players that he would really like. I feel like he'd love Bergvall. I do. I feel like he'd really like him. That sort of tenacity that he's got. Poch would love. He'd love Spence. He'd love Porro, I think. We'll see. We'll see in summer, won't we? I think. To dare is too risky, says 11th again. Ole, ole. Yeah. We go again. We go again, as I said. That's what people say in sport, for sport now. It's one of those sort of Americanisms, isn't it, that's come over. We go again. Harry Kane loves all that stuff, doesn't he? Let's go! Let's go! The video when we, was it Ajax? He's watching it on the TV or something, wasn't he? No, was it Man City, I think? Yeah, it was the Man City game, wasn't it? And there's like a couple of seconds, he's pressed play, and he's like, let's go! And then there's a couple of seconds at the end before he stops it. I was just randomly thinking about today, you know, apparently when we were losing away at Amsterdam, like at half time, that who is it? It's one of the players said that Harry Kane went into the dressing room and went absolutely potty at them all. And they were like, I've never seen Kane go this mad at everyone before. He was shouting like, is this how you want to be remembered? Is this how you want to be remembered? Just made me laugh. Mark Lobley says, obviously happy we won. Feels like it's been a while, but feels like we are all in a state of perpetual apathy. I'm just not fussed. Just waiting for the inevitable mild annoyance. Sack, hire, hope. No comment on that one, Mark. All right, do you know what I mean? I'm trying to drum up the happy clapper train today. All right, and you've come there, right? You've come there, and you've made a point that I feel a lot of people, and I'm not saying myself included in that, but a lot of people might relate to. Right, so less of that, okay? Less of the finely reasoned points that acknowledge the win, but also float your own still simmering grievances with what we're seeing. Okay. And let's just smile and clap. Slack jawed. Clapping, look at screen. Man hit ball in net, good. All right. Let's do that. Until Pochettino comes. Paul's beer review says, we're back, baby. The title is ours. Yes, Paul. Yes, Paul. The Extra Inch. Here we go. If you might have heard of them. You might have heard of the Extra Inch. Say, I'm 10 minutes behind. Lol, but Oliver needs players around him to connect with, and we should be buying technical passes whether Frank wants them or not. I reckon that's Nathan. That's either Nathan or that's Windy. But there you go. There is the best bit of technical analysis that you'll ever see in this drivel outpouring. And then somebody called Big Barry J2V has said Spuds get battered with lots of dead eyes, sort of emoji face things. He said it about 30, 40 times on the stream now, which doesn't seem like the greatest use of one's time. I mean, fine. If that's what floats your boat, Big Barry, that's quite all right. It's up to you, mate. I just sort of feel like, at this time of year, talking to your family, stroking a beloved pet, reading a book or something like that, going out for a nice walk might be a better use of your time than going on to a micro YouTuber's stream and writing that out 20, 30, 40 times. I'm just saying, I'm not here to tell you how to live your life. Day Spurs says, not going to lie, that was a terrible watch. Our build-up is actually frighteningly bad. Bergvall as a 10 makes no sense. I do find that weird. I've got to say, I do find that weird. I find Bergvall as a 10 very bizarre. Maybe it was just, like you would say, benefit of the doubt. Maybe it's because there are injuries today. But, we've seen him do it before, haven't we? He's done it again. He's done it again. Christopher Hall says, I finally subscribe, and the first thing you do is praise Gray and Bergvall. How do I unsubscribe? For 3 more wins and we should be good to stay up. All right, that'll be all right then. Phil Mayo says, happy for a win, but my God, the manner of it. Dreck. Just pointless, uninspired cry. You all right? That's good. I literally thought I just heard Charlotte fall down the stairs then. She hadn't done, which is good. If you were just wondering why I just stopped then, but she, no, just dropped, something fell off the wall down the stairs, which not ideal. That suddenly woken me up, hasn't it? Mark Lobley also says, agreed, bring back Dad. Let's see what the summer brings. Brian Park says, Adam Wharton makes passing from the midfield look so easy when it's the hardest thing in the world for us. Yeah, I mean, I've had this sort of, do you know what? Because I'm a bit of a contrarian by default, right? I have this sort of weird thing in me where I'm like, is he actually that good? And then you watch games like today and you're like, yeah, he's majestic, isn't he? Like he's really good. He is just 100% the player that you see roaming around the midfield for Manchester City for the next 6, 7, 8 years, just spraying balls all over the place, sweeping up. Just a really, really nice footballer. I mean, I'd love it. I'd love it if we were super ambitious, slapped 100 mil at their feet and said, go on. I think, do you know what? I actually think they might want even more than 100 mil for him. They should probably take that much, but they might want even more. Maybe a City or somebody would give him 120. Maybe Chelsea might give him that sort of money. Hopefully Arsenal don't. But they are, yeah, they're a glory. He's glorious. He's a really, really good player, isn't he? Now lots of people in the comments saying Charlotte's alive, ole, which is good. That is good, isn't it? It's a Christmas miracle. It's all good. I know I normally do the players, but again, I can't really be bothered today. You know, like I think everyone was kind of all right. And I think what will happen if I do the players, I will only probably lean into saying things that people may perceive as negative. I'm not going to do that because we got the 3 points today. It was very good. We can all happily go and watch the darts now and enjoy these last few days of Twixmas until New Year's Eve. So, once again, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening. I appreciate it. Appreciate all the love and support in 2025. And we'll go into 2026 with the same energy. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Come on, you Spurs. Up the Spurs. Patreon.com/RTRpod. Get involved. Help me, you know, buy more podcast stuff or whatever, or new shoes. I need some new shoes. I actually need to get a new phone as well. I've spoken about my EE stuff on here before. Up the Spurs. Come on, you Spurs. Much love. Bye bye. Bye 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 bye.